Hi everyone, welcome to our first episode of Vibe Check. My name is Curran and today we're joined by Clint Daniels. Clint's a Grammy nominated artist and he's also up for an ACM Country Music Award this year. The purpose of Vibe Check is to give you the story behind the songs, what goes into the music, how it's done. There's quite a bit of magic in this process. We want you to stay tuned, enjoy the show, and thanks for tuning in. Clint,
yes,
welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming by so much.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Background, we got Mr. Jimmy over there on the dog row. So let's fire right away. Clint, man, Grammy nominated this year.
Yeah, man.
How's that feel, man?
Feels great. Feels really good.
How did you find out about that? How does that even happen? It's kind of one of those life-shaping moments, I feel like.
You know, I can't remember who called me to tell me. Isn't that funny? I mean,
Yeah.
You know, I've been writing with those guys for a long time with Jeff, and he had a lot to do with that cut. Jeff Hyde.
Right.
Because his association with Eric, you know. And
then Bobby, too, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you're writing songs, you're really not thinking about that. I think you're thinking about making a living.
Right.
And getting a cut, you're really not thinking about. I mean, awards are great, and something like that is a great thing. But
right.
I think that if you're doing it, you're not really looking up. You know,
right.
You're kind of just keeping your head down. And
right. Just getting right to it.
You're only as good as the next one, right?
And you've had an interesting experience because a lot of the cats I know, the songwriters in Nashville, they're kind of songwriters. And you seem like you've been on both sides of it as an artist, front-facing artist, and also as a songwriter. Can you dive in a little bit to that? Maybe how that kind of took place?
You know, I moved to Nashville early on. Tim Dubois brought me to town, and a guy named Jim Shear was in his A&R. And I'd always wanted to be a songwriter, though. Just was when my dad, he was a musician and had a lot of records, and I just paid a lot of attention to those names. You know, for some reason the words kind of got me a little more. And I had been playing in a band with my friend Jimmy here back then. We've been playing a long time.
Right.
And they came down and saw us. Actually, Jimmy was there when they signed us to the deal. And you know, it just opened the door up for me because kind of the program in Nashville in those days were co-writing, and they would put you in the room with Red Lane or Dean Dillon or whoever. But I think those experiences made me a better writer. You know, because I got to see different formulas. You know, so everybody writes differently.
Right, and that's kind of a great segue into one of the things that I think a lot of people don't know is that a lot of these songs are kind of they're co-writes, right?
Yeah,
a lot of them. And
definitely.
So, I mean, you're saying that you've learned a lot from that experience, but do you prefer kind of just going in and saying, you know, this is an idea I have for a song, and I'm just going to start and go from verse to chorus to bridge myself? Or do you prefer to co-write with people and that kind of thing, or does it depend?
Well, you know, it just kind of morphed into my program. It's just kind of the program.
That's the program.
And you know, a lot of times if I get an idea, you know, there'll be 3 or 4 lines on the page, and I'll have an appointment tomorrow. So the thing that I really always worry about is that if I'm going to have something that day. Because, you know, if you have 5 writes scheduled in a week and you only bring 1 song out of those 5 appointments, you start feeling like, you know, insufficient.
The pressure, man. Right.
You're like, man, I can't think. You can't think of anything. You know?
Well, and that's the thing that's interesting is a lot of people, I think, they have a feeling like it's just, you know, this poetic thing, which it is, but they don't realize that you have a deadline. You know, you got to send kids to school. You got to do all this stuff.
Definitely.
You know.
Most of my co-writes are with guys I've been writing with, you know, and it seems like the success that I've had over the last couple of years has been with guys that I've been in the trenches with, you know, writing once a week with, and you know, I think it takes a long time to get, especially collaborating with someone else. You got to find people that kind of have the same ideals that you do, somewhat. You know, and they want their messages, and some days they're editing me, and then some days I'm editing them. But I don't care as long as the check comes to my house too.
Well, we all got.
As long as everybody gets their fair share. But you know, some days you bring the beef for the stew, and some days you bring the potatoes, you know.
Exactly.
Kind of look like that. It's like making a stew. Someone said that one time. I thought it was a good analogy.
Mark that one down. You know, one question that a lot of folks have, you always hear this asked to songwriters is, What comes first, the music or the lyric? And this is one, people have asked me. I'm like, well, don't ask me. Let's ask a real songwriter here. So, what do you think about that?
I think that it just depends. I mean, a lot of time. I mean, I use my memo pad. Used to, I carried a pen around, but now that I got my iPhone, I just use. If I get a thought or someone says something, I write it down. You know, because and the really sad thing about it is you never turn it off. You know, especially if you have bills still. You still got mortgage and all of those things. So I think that sometimes it's one or the other. You know, sometimes I can have like a melodic hook that, you know, kind of stands out, and then we build from that and just kind of go through ideas and see, like, you know, I'm a really big, I pay attention to the feel. You know, if the melody that someone's playing feels like a sad melody, I look for an idea that suits that mood. You know, I think that's a big deal. You know?
Didn't know a broken heart had a color. Like that. Love that.
I think that was Jeff Hyde's line.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm almost certain.
Yeah. So I've noticed a bluegrass, and I think I caught that your dad was real into bluegrass. Is that right?
He sure was. He played with this guy right here.
Okay.
For a long time.
I love bluegrass too, and you know, you got like Doc Watson and all these just great players and stuff, and then, you know, of course, just going deep in that whole genre. How does that, and kind of, so from, you know, Underdog to Brown Bottle Blues, how does that kind of, that juicy sort of bluegrass flavor influence your music? Do you set out to write like, this is going to be a bluegrass sounding song, or does it just kind of come to you?
You know, I know a lot of people, and there's, like I said, there's so many formulas and models, I think, to making music and pitching songs or writing songs or whatever.
Right.
You know, I don't know if my success rate would be better if I approached it like that. You know? If I looked at the pitch sheet and saw who was going in, but I just...
Now, what's a pitch sheet? Can you describe that to the folks?
Well, a lot of the major labels will issue, you know, a pitch sheet with the artists that are going in and what songs they're looking for. Say they're looking for an up-tempo, or they're looking for a mid, or a power ballad, or, you know, they kind of give you specifics, which is helpful, you know, I think, to delving into your catalog to look for certain songs for those projects, you know. But when it comes to like the day, like whoever I'm writing with tomorrow, obviously we want to be commercial, you know. We want to make money. I mean, it's not a hobby, right? So, but I think it's important that you write what's in the room.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I think that if you feel it and I feel it, we have more of a shot than they're going to feel it, whoever we're playing to, you know? So I think if you have a group of people and you're wise about your collaborators and you know, I think that the risk that we have as musicians and singers is that there's such a level of toxicity in our business.
Right.
So it's trying to find a creative person with enough discipline, right? It's a hard thing. I know that my 20s were a lot of that, you know? And I just think that if you find those people who take it serious, you know, and you kind of put your weight in those guys, you know, I think that any young writer I could say that to. There's a lot of writers, friends that I have that I've made recently, and, you know, really great artist writers that are coming up. And, you know, I think it's just really important to find your core. And the people who help you, you know, say the things that you want to say, you know? Absolutely.
Do you have a choice too when you get a pitch? Do you have a choice like who you want to collaborate with, or I've kind of
you know, now more so than probably when I was a younger guy. You know, I think when you're learning the craft, you know, you need guys like Ken Williams. That you know, I mean, I was at their feet, and you know, grace of God, I had a record deal, so it got me in the door. You know, a lot of kids that didn't have a record deal would have never gotten in the room with those guys. So I did realize what those opportunities were. I did, and I really wanted to be a great songwriter. You know, I've got kids, and I say this a lot, but it's the truth. I don't want to be remembered for a bunch of dumb redneck songs. Okay, and I love country music. I love all kinds of music, but country music is personal to me. And you know, I kind of grew up playing bluegrass and watching my dad play with Jimmy, and playing in church, and you know, I just think that soul is everything. You know?
Absolutely.
I want to feel you. I don't care what you look like. You know?
Exactly.
I want to close my eyes and feel it. So I think that that's important to me, especially now. You know, I think when you're a young man, it's easier to fall on immaturity, you know, because you don't know yet.
Yeah.
It's a youngness is what my therapist used to call it.
Youth is wasted on the young, whatever they say, you know?
Well, we don't realize, you know, opportunities.
Right.
And some things aren't. Some things can be masked as, you know, you think that this is a great, well, I can write with this guy. This might be really good. And then you get in the room and he's type A, narcissistic to the heavens, and he never hears you one time the whole day. And you waited for this write for 2 weeks, right? I remember those days.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I really believe that it's important that you surround yourself with those people, you know, with that make up for the things that you lack. Say if you feel like you're lax on melodies, then you should find a co-writer that's
going to give
better
you
on that end. You know, it's a better musicianship because it's all, you know, relevant in a song.
Absolutely.
So I think you just try to find people that make up for your weaknesses, you know.
Absolutely. Kind of fill in the spaces. I hope y'all out there are taking notes on this. Well, before we get to a couple more, why don't we pick a tune?
Sure.
Let's do, if we may,
Do I need to pull this mic around?
Brown Bottle Blues. Yeah.
All right, let's see how blues it gets.
Let's get bluesy.
1, 2, 3. Didn't know a broken heart had a color. These days I'm seeing shades like I never knew. Ever since you lit out here with another, I've been blending in with the gray of this empty room. She's out there somewhere living it up, there ain't no doubt. And I'm back here catching a buzz about that green-eyed, red-headed woman. But a crack in the rose-colored glasses I was looking through. That green-eyed, red-headed woman left me with a case of brown bottle blues. Twisting tops goes good with spin records. Act a new thing or two about a drinking song. So I think we'll just sit right here and sit together. Keep drinking till I'm forgetting that woman's gone. She's out there somewhere living it up, there ain't no doubt. I'm back here catching a buzz about that green-eyed, red-headed woman. But a crack in the rose-colored glasses I was looking through. That green-eyed, red-headed woman left me with a case of brown bottle blues. All right, Jimmy. Guess I should be grateful, 'cause at least you balked my friend. Yeah, I'll drink them all, still won't understand how that green-eyed, red-headed woman put a crack in the road
Yeah, she left me with a case of brown bottle blue.
Clint, man, are we live?
Yeah.
I hope we're live right there. Okay, that was great. And Clint, you just knocked it out of the park.
Thanks, man.
One question I have for you. Okay, this is going to get a little music nerdy, but I just got to throw it out there. When you do a song like that, it starts on the 5, and I was like, and you can feel that, and it resolves to the 1. So not to lose our listeners with that, but do you think about that kind of stuff? Like when you're writing a song like that, it's like, or is it just when it gets charted and it goes out to the band and stuff like that?
You know, I think with that one, I think it was just the way the melody was going. You know,
Right.
if you're singing the melody, you're not really.
Exactly.
You'll sing it in your head, and then you'll grab your instrument, and then you're just playing to what you're singing. So I think
Right,
that's
right.
those circumstances.
Yeah.
I think that particular one was that.
That's a fun tune right there.
Thanks, man.
So, looking forward to 2020, you've got some stuff going on now. Do you have anything you can share with us about deals, publishing deals, whatever? You're doing new stuff, anything that's confidential,
man,
open, I don't know.
Yeah. I just finally finished a lengthy deal with BMG and Porch Light, and
Excellent.
we're excited. I mean, it's really coming together really great, and it's a great opportunity. You know, I was with Sony for 13 years, and left there and went to Seagale for 7. And this is kind of a new deal, and it's really good. We're getting some really good cuts, you know, early, and it's kind of a good way to come into a new publishing agreement, you know, with a little bit of stuff going on, and kind of makes it worth it.
When did your sales, the Roaring 20s, and right into it? Excellent, man.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about Texas.
Yeah.
So, let's say, you know, you've been playing in Nashville and Texas, and you've been coming out here playing a lot of gigs. What brings you out here, and what's the difference between kind of the music scene besides the massive industry in Nashville? What do you kind of notice? What are some of your observations?
Well, I mean, I had a lot of early on. I guess it's to be about 2.5, 3 years ago now. I mean, a lot of big life changes, personal things. You know, divorce and moving, and my kids are in Florida, and you know the songwriter royalty rates, which they're doing all they can do. They really are. BMI, different ones. They're doing all they can.
We're gonna have another podcast on that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think because of my circumstances, you know, I was raising kids. You know, my daughter's 14, my boy's 12. So the first 10 years, I had a record deal when I was moving there, and I got my first #1 on Joe Nichols in 2002. And I think because of I wanted to be home. I had chased the road thing for so long, right? And I was just tired. And we spent a lot of money. We spent $1 million, you know, at Arista too. I know.
That's
and,
right.
And to have moderate success, you know.
Right.
So I think when I came up here, I did a show for Dean Dillon. And just to humanize it a little more, you know, when you're switching publishing deals, I mean, you can have a hit, but it only lasts for 4 quarters, you know, and I think a lot of people don't realize that you got to stretch that out. So I had gotten a job at Costco. My neighbor, who lived across the street from me,
Love it.
she ran the Costco, and she saw me out in the yard, and she goes, "Clint, I know that the music business shuts down, and during the holidays, during Christmas, would you be interested in some seasonal work?" And I just left Sony and started a new deal, and I went, yes. So I would go in from, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock till 10 every morning. I did it for 50 days during the holidays. And my buddy Philip White called me and asked me to do a round with him, and I hadn't done a writer's round in probably 7 years. You know, I just stayed home and taking my kids to school and doing all that stuff, you know. And I went and made as much money that night as I did 2 weeks slinging freaking everything, you know. And then I came here a few months later, and I met my friend Mike Grimes at MG3 Entertainment, and I was with Dean Dillon doing a show. And man, I don't know, I love Texas, I do, and I've got a lot of, I got a lot of friends that I've been writing with in Nashville that were from here, and the music here is still a lot like what it was when I was in Nashville 20 years ago.
Oh, it's
you
great
know,
to
I can
hear
still
you.
go hear a band with a fiddle and a steel player here.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily do that everywhere in Nashville. So, you know, I made some really good friends, you know, over the last couple of years. And and been embraced really well by, you know, obviously from a writing standpoint too, guys like Roger Kreger and Kevin Fowler, Clay Walker, you know, I mean, I've had a lot of Texas acts cut my songs, so that's cool. You know?
Right.
But I really think that me coming out, I think just my life turning the way it did, you know what I mean? Getting divorced, and, you know, I was focusing on nothing but writing, you know, and to be honest, I think by coming out here and doing these shows, it has helped my writing tremendously, because I go see new acts and I'm around music and I'm around music people, and the industry here is different.
Right.
You know, the Red Dirt circuit is more what I moved to Nashville to make, the music I wanted to write and create.
So in a sense, you're taking off in Nashville and you're coming back here to keep your roots and kind of that sort of thing.
I think it's a good balance, you know. It is for me. And there's still, you know, I know that I hear a lot of Texas guys that I know and respect and love.
Oh yeah.
You know, Nashville kind of gets a little checks to some music people. They kind of they hit them a lick a little bit sometimes. But there is a group, a core of people that are a lot like the Texas folks that I have met here, that are grounded, and they're still making the same kind of music.
Right.
Just, it may not be as many. I mean, it's just our genre has become so diverse.
Right.
And I am the first person to bring in diversity, okay? I just know what I can write and what I can't write.
Right.
And I did that for about a decade, you know, chasing things, and there's just some things I can't do anymore. And I think growing up, turning 40, you know, about around that time in your life, you just start seeing things differently, you know. And there were some struggles, you know. It took me it was a hard 2 or 3 years, you know. But I think when you get through it, you got good people around you.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
That's the light that we like to see. And Clint, I can't even thank you enough, man, and it's just inspiring. And I think one thing that would be really cool to end it on is if there's anything you could say, you know, about to songwriters, to young songwriters and stuff, that can learn from what you've been through and everything, and what would you say to them?
I think realize opportunities in your life. You know, I think there were so many things that I missed, you know, early on, and you don't know about that till you get a little older and you see those opportunities go away. You know, they're there, and you don't realize that there's 25 guys that just got off a bus from Podunk, Iowa, and they want that opportunity, and you didn't take it. You know. And I will say, I mean, especially for a writer, I think it's really being true to your own craft, and find if you are going to co-write or collaborate, because some people don't. I know guys that write 100%ers all the time. That's great. You'll make more money. Go do that.
Wow.
I tell every writer to do that.
Yeah.
But I think really it's your core. It's the people you're with, you know. I think you got to be able to break bread with them too, you know. You got to be able to trust them with your kids.
That sounds perfect to me. Trust them with your kids. And Clint, thank you so much for coming out.
I appreciate you.
Vibe check.
I do.
Band Barracks.
So great to be here.
The music's amazing, and y'all look out for Clint Daniels 2020 and all the great things coming up. And thank him so much for coming out. And we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.